What makes the mimic so scary? And no, not this mimic. This mimic. We first are introduced to the mimic in the horror anthology series Tales from the Pizzaplex. It appears in the 6th book and is the final story in said book. The mimic was created to, mimic human emotions and behavior, which understandably failed given how flawed we are as human beings. Now, it doesn't start off with the horror movie scenario. No, the mimic was originally designed to be a best friend / father figure for David Edwin's son, because David was obviously very busy with his job and didn't have a lot of time to hang out and be with his son. So he created the mimic to mimic human behavior. And eventually this would lead to his son being killed by it, leading to Edwin being naturally very upset, so he lashes out at the mimic, causing a lot of damage to the 7-foot-tall animatronic endoskeleton. When Fazbear Entertainment eventually came into contact with the mimic, it was in a horrible shape. They had to use parts from other existing animatronic endoskeletons to put it back together and repair it to some degree. When this happened, the mimic came back online and killed pretty much everybody involved, thrusting it into the villainous role we now know. Now, before we continue with tonight's video, I just want to say there are going to be spoilers for the Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin DLC from this point forward. So if you don't want spoilers, click off the video, go play the DLC, it's free, and check it out, because we are now diving into the mimic's role within the Ruin DLC. Throughout the events of Security Breach Ruin, we are lured into the Pizzaplex by the mimic under the guise of Gregory, our main character Cassie's best friend. We must traverse through the crumbling ruins and evade animatronic enemies until we finally make our way to where Gregory is supposedly being kept. Unfortunately for Cassie, it is not Gregory. It is revealed to be the mimic, mimicking Gregory's voice to a T. With the mimic having tricked you into deactivating the security nodes, it is now free to roam the Pizzaplex and even leave if it so wishes. The animatronic endoskeleton then proceeds to try to attack Cassie. Fortunately for her, Roxanne Wolf comes to her aid, who Cassie made a heartfelt connection with just a couple scenes prior. The animatronics begin to start confrontation, and Roxy keeps the animatronic endoskeleton at bay so Cassie can run further into the ruins of the Mega Pizzaplex and hopefully escape this nightmarish situation. Now, beyond this point, there are 3 endings based on how you played the game, at least at the time of this recording. The most common ending, which I refer to as the basic ending, is where the mimic chases Cassie throughout the pizzeria and eventually corners her in an elevator shaft. Cassie shuts the elevator doors, causing the mimic to lose an arm in the process. Cassie then falls down the elevator shaft and is presumed dead. After the credits roll, we can hear Roxanne Wolf searching for Cassie, calling out her name from the darkness. The next ending has you during the chase sequence, being chased by the mimic through the underground caves, and you are being told by the real Gregory where to go. But instead of following Gregory's instructions and getting cornered in the elevator, take a left. You will see a Fredbear cardboard cutout, and if you put the mask on, you will see an alternate ending in which supposedly the mimic has trapped you in a digital daydream in which you escaped, and you are with Helpy, Gregory, and Vanessa, sitting on a hillside eating ice cream. This is implied to be the Mimic having trapped us in a digital prison, similar to that of Vanessa from the regular Security Breach game. Now we've come to the last ending. So, while playing through the entirety of Security Breach Ruin, while looking at the camera systems, you can actually unlock hidden camera systems in which will actually change the final chase sequence to the game. So when you do get to this chase sequence, you will notice that the Mimic looks very different. It is now dressed in a torn up, beat up animatronic suit, and it is a mascot I've never seen before. It's pretty raggedy, and I'm not sure this was ever a character, but rather just a amalgamation of different animatronic parts. Anyway, this thing will begin to chase you through the ruins, and you can lure it into the scooping room, in which it will violently get attacked by the scoop and presumably get scooped. However, it is implied that the Mimic got away, albeit very damaged. Jumping back to Security Breach for a second, it is believed that Burn Trap is actually not a version of William Afton, but instead the Mimic, given that in the DLC, the Mimic shows up in the exact same place where we fight Burn Trap in the secret ending to Security Breach. Furthermore, Burn Trap also sports similar powers to the Mimic. It is able to interrupt radio signals and even compel animatronics to do its bidding. I mean, by this logic, you could even say that MEX was a Mimic, but I don't think he is. MEX was designed to hide the Mimic away and keep it in prison. However, MEX does do similar things, where it is able to use the animatronics to attack the player. Despite the Mimic seemingly being a mindless monster, it is rather intelligent, which is a far cry from its depiction in Tales from the Pizzaplex. The Mimic is able to outsmart Cassie by luring her into the Pizzaplex to deactivate the security nodes and set it free. The Mimic was incredibly intelligent, able to mimic Gregory's mannerisms and even his voice in order to guide Cassie through the Mega Pizzaplex and deactivate the MEX system, keeping it imprisoned. Unlike other villains in the Five Nights at Freddy's lore, like William Afton, Springtrap, Vanny, Eleanor, Circus Baby, and many others, this is the first antagonist I feel hit the ground running. He needs no introduction. His feats, his actions explain everything. He was able to kill fully grown men with ease. He's got brute inhuman strength. He's got killer claws. He's able to trick humans into doing his bidding. He's even able to get other animatronics to do his bidding. And he's even able to mimic voices, specifically the voices of people he's heard. This thing is an unstoppable monster, willing to do whatever it takes to lure its prey into a kill box. Then that is why I think Gregory was so adamant that Cassie not be allowed to leave the Pizzaplex out of fear of this thing getting out into the world. Because even if Gregory and Cassie were able to make it out of the Pizzaplex alive, this thing would surely not stop until it has killed them, and many others along the way. Despite it being designed with only the best purposes in mind, this thing has devolved past being a playmate for little kids to goof around with while their dads are at work. This thing only knows killing, and it will go to great extents to kill again. This has been my look at the Five Nights at Freddy's Ruin antagonist, the Mimic. Let me know what you guys think about this guy in the comments below. And with that, hope you guys enjoyed. Do take care, have a great night, and I'll see you in the next video.